Welcome to another episode of the Fan Zone podcast. Your home for all things Bolton Wanderers, up the Trotters, the Northwest's #1 podcast.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Fan Zone podcast. It is the preview, it's episode 82, and it's Huddersfield Town. And I was going to say we're making the trip to Huddersfield Town tonight. I hope they already have made the trip because they're all going to be late. But yeah, because we are an hour and a half before kickoff. It's probably the latest we've ever done. Well, it's definitely the latest we've ever done a preview. I think we've done one on the day before. That was Arsenal last year. But apart from that, yeah, bit of a peculiar time to do one. But look, when Sky throw fixtures around like this, we have to deal with it. And Thursday night games, whose idea was that? But anyway, we're here, and there's two faces you probably weren't expecting to see tonight. Obviously, first on my right-hand side, making his preview debut, is the Statman. Welcome.
Yeah, hello everybody. It's been a while since the last live episode, so you might have to bear with if I'm a bit rusty. But yeah, good to be back.
Brilliant, great stuff. And another one, he's managed to scam his way onto the preview 2 weeks in a row, even though Lincoln are not even mentioned. It's Jake Tonge.
Hello. Well, at this rate, mate, Huddersfield take our players pretty much every year, so I might as well just become a Huddersfield fan, shouldn't I? But yeah, no, look, mate. Let's not get this twisted, right? You sent me a text, so and please, like Sabrina Carpenter, please come on the preview show. I'm desperate. I'm on my knees. And I thought, do you know what? I like McQuaid. I want to make sure that he goes travelling again next year because he surely doesn't talk about it. So here we are, back again.
Yeah, mate. Absolute legend, EFL expert. We'll say. Well, we'll see how he gets on tonight, and we can give him that title. But yeah, absolute legend. Always there to step in when we need him, mate. What a guy. Good evening to everyone. Jordan, first in tonight. Lovely. Leslie, Pete, David chuckling at the temporary Huddersfield fan comment that I made before. and he has said he's going to try a Huddersfield accent later on, so stay tuned to that. But yeah, let's get straight into it. It is the season so far. Season so far, yeah. What we're doing tonight is about a 10-second delay before every mid-roll comes on because I can't find the mid-rolls. But yeah, season so far, we all know about Bolton. Go on, Cal, do you want to give us a rundown of how it's gone over the last few weeks?
I don't think I could say that word live on air, to be completely honest. But anyway, we've all seen my rants in my segments of the show. It's not been great, has it? But I think there's still signs of positive play. It's just putting it all into practice, should we say, and not changing the tactics after 45 minutes when you're playing better and you've only conceded a penalty. But anyway, let's move on.
Good to see Statman's bringing the passion tonight. It's not just when he's pre-recording; he's always fired up for it. Yeah, it's been it's one of them. Started off pretty positive with I think I'd say 8 or 9 really good performances for the first 9 games, and then we kind of dropped off of the cliff the last 3 weeks. So yeah, it's one of them. We've got to get a reaction at some point, and tonight's a good opportunity to do that. So, Huddersfield fan Jake, how have the Terriers done this season?
Well, I think if you look on Twitter, I think you'd imagine the bottom half or in the bottom 4 because they're all calling for Lee Grant's head, which is maybe a little bit premature, really, given where they are in the league. I think what you've got to factor in with Huddersfield as well is like the amount of bodies that came in over the summer. Like we saw it. I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago. You were because you were in League One as well. Bolton in League One. Yeah, when Burton signed 23 players. I mean, we saw it when Forest signed 20. What did they sign? Like 20 odd players when they got promoted into the Premier League as well. It takes a little bit of time. And I think the amount of key players that they brought in a new number one goalkeeper. They brought in like 8 centre halves, which is mental. I'll talk to you about 7. I can't talk to you about one of them because I'll get upset and start crying. That sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They've brought in a new centre forward. They've brought in some attacking midfielders. Basically, Huddersfield scouting network has been anyone that's been decent in League One or League Two in the last like 12 to 18 months. Huddersfield have signed them this summer, and I think when you base on the fact the money that they've spent, like they spent big on Alfie May. Obviously, they bought Joe Taylor in January for like £3 million. They spent not jealous. Yeah, Dion Charles. Who would have thought that 2 years ago that you'd be selling him for about 5 pennies? But yeah, still, I think the expectation at Huddersfield was absolutely rife at the start of the season. They signed a load of players that had been proven to perform at this level. Alfie May, none more so, with his goals, and it hasn't quite hit that level just as of yet. They're sort of bouncing from week to week. They have one good performance one week where they absolutely dominate. I mean, and then they go to another week where they're not quite as strong, and perhaps they're similar to you in a way where they create quite a lot of chances from the games that I watched. Like I watched the extended highlights of them against Exeter, as I'm sure the Statman would have done as well. And like that game, quite honestly, could have ended 10-0 to Huddersfield. Like they were that good going forward. It's just that final bit, and that's what I think is the issue with Huddersfield this year. It's just that final bit of quality that I can't remember what game. They played Huddersfield. We're talking about Huddersfield. Burton at home, where they drew 0-0. Sorry to bring up the B word. I know it gives you the heebie-jeebies after last weekend.
Yeah.
But like they created so many quality chances, and just Brad Collins in goal for Burton just had an absolute storm of a game. So, I think they'll be disappointed. Obviously, they've got a new manager in charge, Lee Grant, who's not massively known to the EFL. It's his first gig full time. I think he's been at United, he's been at Ipswich, he's done various bits and bobs. He's been a player most of his career. So I think people are on tenterhooks with him a little bit. But based on the fact that the Huddersfield fan that I spoke to this afternoon in preparation for coming on, they just think it needs a little bit of time to gel. All these bodies coming in, like I mentioned, and performances have mainly been positive. So whilst I think you look at it on paper and they're not quite going, a little bit like you guys, I expect the ceiling is quite high with Huddersfield, like it probably is with Bolton as well.
Yeah, pretty similar starts of the season. I mean, it feels like we're saying that about most of the preseason favourites that they struggled. Does that make it maybe not a good season, but an all right season to have a bit of a tough start? Because no one that we thought preseason was going to do well has done well, apart from really Cardiff, you'd say. You know, all the teams in the top 6 or 7 are teams. Well, half the teams that came up last season, and then the teams you want to get to, like Stevenage and. Yeah, so is it maybe a good season to have a bit of a tough start because it's still kind of wide open at the top?
Yeah, well, teams you wouldn't expect to be in the top 6, teams I expected to be in the top 6, including ourselves. Just to get that one in there.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I think you can have a really bad start and still win promotion. I mean, I take my mind back to the COVID season where Blackpool. I don't know if you remember you guys were in League One during the. Oh no, you were in League Two. You got promoted out of League Two.
Even us, we were 17th in March that season and got promoted. So,
yeah, Blackpool were like nowhere near it, like absolutely nowhere near it. I remember in sort of early 2021, they were points behind the playoffs, and they ended up getting themselves promoted. So look, I think there's every chance, but I think it does make the league better. Certainly, as an entertainment, as someone who covers the whole league, I think it makes it better to cover. I think the margins are tighter in the league because I think the teams that you don't expect to do well actually look on paper the recruitment that some of those teams have been able to do, like Bradford, like Stevenage, like Lincoln, etc. That AFC Wimbledon are another one that we should give a huge amount of credit to because they've been outstanding. Maybe bar one afternoon at the tough sheet, admittedly, but I think it makes it more tighter, and I think it's better to watch, and also. The teams at the top haven't exactly run away with it yet. So you guys, while you've had a poor start to the season for your standards, and Huddersfield are probably the same, you're still only 2 or 3 weeks from getting back in that conversation properly and really putting yourselves in in the driving seat. So, and as we must remember, Ben, nothing is won and lost in August, in October. Sorry, I have had to tell Matt Farley that about 50 times already this week. So,
absolutely, yeah. A bit of positivity for us fans, I guess. Yeah, I know the Statman is here tonight, but of course we're not going to forget about his famous get stats on videos in the preview. So, without any further ado, let's get on to it.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Gaffer's Notebook, where we're going to review. Everybody, welcome back to Get Stats On with Statman. Of course, today we are previewing the game against Huddersfield Town tomorrow night. Let's get into it, shall we? Apologies. They currently sit 7th in League One. In the last 5 games, they've won 2, drawn 1, lost 2. And the wins came against Exeter and Peterborough United, while the losses came against Bradford and Stockport County. So, really from that, what you will. They didn't play this weekend, and you did, obviously. So you may have a slight advantage there, because your players will be a bit more sharp than they will. But you could argue they've got a rest. So, yeah, either way. I can hear you saying, how did they play, Statman? So let's get into it, shall we? This season, they've been much better at home than away from home, which is obviously not ideal. They've got 13 points at home from 6 games and just 6 points away from home from 5 games. So, yeah, not ideal. They've scored the 7 most goals per game. And per game is key because they've not played as much as everybody else. And but that is pretty much equal with their expected goals number. So that means that basically that's not going to drop, or it's probably not going to get any better either. So they regularly score about 1.5 goals per game, and that trend will continue for pretty much the entire season as it stands. They have the 4th most shots on target per match, but interestingly, you actually have the most with 5.3. So, bit of a positive there. We're G'ing up. We're happy. Come on, we've not lost just yet. Anyway, let's move on. Yeah, I think one of the key things to take away is they're quite clinical. Wow. Cannot speak today. The Statman is struggling. But anyway, yeah. They've missed just 11 big chances, and that might seem like quite a lot, right? But I believe Cardiff have missed the most, and Wigan with 23. So 11 is pretty blooming good. It's like 18th least in the league. So yeah, top 6 in the league for not missing big chances. So that is pretty mega. They are quite clinical. So do not give away sloppy chances, as you probably will. Defensively then, they've conceded the 4th least expected goals in the entire league. However, they've conceded 2 more goals than the XG numbers suggest they should have. So to me, that says test the keeper. Have a dig. Get your shots off. But potentially not, because we'll come on to that in just a little second. They tend to sit quite deep, right? So you're going to have to break them down, which is obviously a bit of a struggle. But let's go to the tactics board, shall we? As my voice continues to go. I am proper struggling today, but we move. The content keeps coming. So, it's a 4-2-3-1 versus a 4-2-3-1. And who you pick here could be interesting. Because obviously, last game, it looked a bit more like this, did it not? A bit of a 4-4-2 with Burstow and Dolby. And let's just say it didn't work. It could have worked if you played for the full 90 minutes. See my previous rant for that. But, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen again. I want to see, and I've been saying it for quite some time, I want to see Randall back in here. And yes, he's not brilliant, is he? But he just knows what to do in that position. And if you're playing against a team that's sitting off, Force is not the man to play in the number 10. So I'm playing Randall. And what does Randall do? He drifts over here. Okay? And then you leave a bit of a debate, if you will. Do you pick Aaron Morley and let him push up here? Or
do you pick a different midfield option and play more of a 2 next to Simons, whether it's Sheehan or Big Heath, or there's definitely someone that I'm forgetting. But still, what I'd probably do is cry. No, I'm only joking. I probably would pick Morley, right? And I'm obviously going to do this with Simons and Conway being allowed to come inside. That's not going to happen, is it? So let's be realistic. Let's say Simons is here on his own. Now, you may notice, when you've got the ball, they'll be man for man on your midfield if you play like this, which is good for you, very good. Because all it takes is Burstow dropping in and you've got a massive overload. Or Conway tucking inside, because let's be fair, their winger is not going to follow him in here, and you've got an extra man. Or the winger tucking inside and you've got an extra man. Or Cozy Dewberry coming inside and you've got an extra man. So that is probably what I'd do. We've seen the shape quite a lot this season, and it has worked quite a lot this season. You've not always won the games when you've played that sort of shape. But I think we can agree that most of the time you did deserve to win those games, did you not? It was just poor finishing on the day, or poor decision making in the final third rather, because the striker has actually been pretty good. And I don't think I've really got anything else to say, to be fair. Just don't change your tactics at half time. Okay? We'll leave it there, shall we? Enjoy the rest of the show, and hopefully I'll see you on the review when I can speak a bit more. Goodbye.
Fantastic as always from the Statman. I was chuckling along, obviously doubling down on his rants from Sunday night. But without any further ado, let's get straight into the injury update, where we'll react to the team news that has just come out. So the beauty of doing the preview shows an hour and a half before the game is we get team news. We've never had this before. So just in, there are 5 changes from Saturday. Dacus Cogley, Owen Toll, Josh Sheehan, Osei Tutu, and Marcus Forster back into the 11. So from back to front, that is Sharman Lowe still in net, Dacus Cogley, Owen Toll, George Johnson, Max Conway along the back, Cozy Dewberry on the right, Osei Tutu on the left, Josh Sheehan and Xavier Simons in midfield with Marcus Force just behind Mason Burstow. Cal, from a tactical point of view, well, firstly, you're a bit surprised by the number of changes and the changes in particular, and 2, from a tactical point of view, how do you see that lining up?
Well, I'm just looking at the team on my phone as well, because while you did say it out loud, I've got the memory of a goldfish. So give me a brief second. But yeah, I think it's probably going to be a 4-4-2 again, which is, it's interesting because, I mean, it was definitely a 4-2-3-1 to start the season. I think we could all agree on that. And it was definitely a 4-4-2 last game. Yeah. But when you sack it off after, yeah, you stuck with the formation, but when you sack it off after 45 minutes, you think, why on earth try it again? You know what I mean? It seems like you've thrown the sort of air out the window, but apparently not. So Simons and Sheehan, we saw that before, and I did not like it because I think they're a very similar sort of player, to be honest. But having that 2 in midfield should serve you well, especially on the counter-attack if Conway's bombing forward. OC Tutu back in the side is an interesting one. I'm assuming Gale has got some sort of knock or injury that I can put.
Schumacher said before. I mean, there was all rumours flying about when they weren't involved on Saturday that it was 3.5 months for both Gale and Jake's best mate Ethan. But he's revealed today that it's about 4 weeks for both of them, which is obviously very positive news. But yeah, that's why there's no Thierry Gale again today.
Oh yeah, I mean, OC Tutu is a weird one for Bolton because, I mean, you've had moments where he looks miles above everybody else, and you've had moments where he's looked miles below everybody else as well. He's definitely he's more of a wing back than anything else, and you obviously don't play that anymore. So he can definitely play on the wing, and he did play on the wing before you signed him. I remember talking about that in his signing moment. But yeah, it should be an interesting game. I'm sort of wondering if, since you've gone with a 4-4-2, if you're going to sit off a bit more and allow them to dominate the ball, because they do not mind the ball, not as much as you love it. But yeah, I wonder if you're just going to revert to sort of basics and just go get the ball, give it wide, get in the box. Because when your tactic's not working, that is sort of plan B. Just go back to basic football that we all played as a child. So yeah, I don't mind it, but whatever he does, just stick with it for the full 90 minutes. Especially if it's not going that bad. Yeah.
Yeah. No, good insight. Yeah, I mean, it looks similar-ish to, and I think we're going to play similar-ish to the way we played against Wigan, with obviously Force next to or behind Burstow, looking to win the ball back and play on the counter, which served us obviously very well against Wigan. Obviously, we couldn't do that against Northampton, Peterborough, and Burton, because they're not going to want the ball and try and press on to us, as you mentioned on Sunday. So maybe it'll suit us a bit more. Look, obviously, Huddersfield at home, team near the top, they're going to want the ball a lot more than obviously they're like the teams that I said beforehand. Jake, let's hear, before we run through the Huddersfield's team, you said before that a big injury list. Do you want to quickly run us through them, please?
Yeah, I can do. It looks like, well, I did this before then. Obviously, they announced the team, but Mikael Miller and Anthony Evans were apparently both maybe available for selection following injuries out of the squad. Jack Watmore is injured for a considerable amount of time. I wouldn't expect to see him for a while. Marcus McGuane is someone who they signed in the summer, ex-La Masia player. He's out with a groin issue. Again, another one that won't feature. Radinho Bolka expected to miss, but did play for Suriname against Panama on Tuesday. So whether he actually gets a gig or not in the squad, I'm not overly sure. The lad they signed from Villa, I ain't even going to try his first name, Redmond. He's out with a knee injury. Will Alves, who's someone that I liked from Leicester City, he's out with a foot injury. And Herbie Kane is out with a groin issue. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players on the injury list for Huddersfield. But I can run you through the team if you are interested. They've got, to me, what it looks like is Nichols is starting in goal. For me, then Joe Lowe will be playing centre back. I think Ruben Ruskin will be forced to play as a left centre back, potentially, or a left back. Josh Feeney will be in there as well in the back. Maybe they're playing Ruskin left back, Gooch right back, Joe Lowe and Josh Feeney as your two centre halves. Probably Ryan Ledson and David Kasumu maybe as your holding midfielders, or with Ben Wiles maybe slightly more advanced. Leaving a front three of Leo Castledine, Alfie May, and that man Joe Taylor. So still, like, you look at that, and even the names they've got on the bench, like Owen Goodman, who had such a good year at Wimbledon, Lasse Sorensen, who I could talk to you for hours about, Marcus Harness, Mikael Miller, who we spoke about, he's on the bench. Your best mate, Dion Charles, is fit for a spot on the bench, which I'm sure you're going to talk about. Sean Rowan also on the bench, Lol and Voss as well. So, a really strong side from an outsider's point of view. But the thing is with Lee Grant, it could be a 4-2-3-1. It could be 3 at the back. It could literally be anything. We don't know it. I wouldn't know it until I saw it, until I watched the game in about, an hour's time.
Yeah, nice. Thanks for that. Yeah, as you say, on paper, when you read the names out, it is kind of a bit of a League One all-star team from the last couple of years, isn't it? Especially when you look at the attack with, obviously said it, Alfie May, Joe Taylor, and Dion Charles, who God knows what has happened to him. I mean, obviously we spoke about him a lot towards the end of his time here, where he basically struggled to get in the team for a few months and could barely hit a barn door. But I mean, honestly, I thought he'd go to Huddersfield and regain his fitness and regain a bit of form. But I mean, at the same time, they also signed Joe Taylor at that point as well. And that point, they still had Josh Karoma and Callum Marshall on loan from West Ham. I was a bit like, where does he fit in? And yeah, he got off to a bad start, and then he's basically never looked back. He's still not scored a goal for them, hasn't he? I'm pretty sure. I think he scored for their under 21s in some under 21s game, not even a professional game. But yeah, bless him. Don't know what's happened to him, but cheers for the money. So yeah, we are 25 minutes in. Without any further ado, and Jake, you've still not done it, mate. So I want your score prediction in your best South Yorkshire accent. Yeah, it's that time. What's the score? I want everyone in the chat. We've had 103 people along with us tonight, which is amazing. Obviously, a random time that we don't usually do. 6:30, I'd imagine there's a lot of people getting in from work, having their tea, sorting the kids out, whatever. So that's off to everyone who's joined us tonight. And obviously, I've not mentioned them, have I? B2B Workwear. Thank you ever so much for sponsoring tonight. You know where to go for your PPE and workwear, clobber. Links in the description on our website, all that good stuff. So yes, Jake, I'm going to go for you as your guest first.
Of course, yeah.
I hope you've been warming up.
Of course, yeah.
Let's hear it.
Surprised you've not done the player swap, McQuaid. We're running out of time by the sounds of it.
Well, you know what? We can get to it straight after if you want. Yeah.
I think you guys need a reaction after last week. But I don't think you get it tonight based on everything you tell me about this 4-4-2 shenanigans that didn't work against Burton. And if it's not going to work against Burton, with the greatest respect to Burton Albion, it's not going to work against Huddersfield Town, who are probably about 5 or 6 times the team they are. So stereotypically, Huddersfield 0, Bolton 1. I'm going to go Huddersfield 2, Bolton Wanderers 1, and it's West Yorkshire, by the way, not South Yorkshire.
Yeah.
You land yourself in bother, mate. I'd hate for that.
Yeah, whatever. All the same, innit? Yeah, not bad that. I mean, apart from the actual score, the accent was all right, but yeah. Go on, Carl. What do you reckon?
I mean, should we just flip a coin? Eh? I mean, we've got no blooming idea, do we? Anything can happen with Bolton this season, and Huddersfield, to be fair. But either someone's got to bring the positivity, don't they? So I'm going 3-1. Burstow brace. Give it here first.
Love it, love it. Yeah, I'm gonna join you with the positivity. I mean, looking at the team, it is similar-ish to the one we played against Wigan, and I think Huddersfield are going to try and play a similar-ish style, as in going to try and dominate the ball more than sit off like Burton, Northampton, and Peterborough have done, which we coincidentally struggled against. So yeah, I'm going to go for 2-1 Whites. Yeah, Burstow's going to bag again, and Cozy Doobie's going to step up because he's been a little bit quiet over the last few weeks, but he doesn't stay quiet for long. 2-1, I'm going. And as Jake said, obviously I've not done play swap, so we've got some time. Let's get into it. All over the shop tonight. We've got United and a Lincoln fan on a Huddersfield preview, and all the mid rolls are in the wrong order. But yeah, play a swap. Go on, Jake. You've been ganging for it. Who do you want to take from Bolton?
Well, for Lincoln, nobody. I made that gag last week because we are above you in the league table at this minute in time.
Yeah.
Huddersfield need someone in midfield who's got a bit of steel about them, and. Well, there just is one name I'm not picking. So, unfortunately for your mate, Mr. Arahan, Statman, that's how you get it. Big Heath.
I still got no chance.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick him anyway. He's useless. I'm probably going to go for Xavi Simons. I have been impressed with him since coming into Bolton. Yeah, I think he would add a little bit of grit and a bit of quality from perhaps further back that they lack. I don't think the two that they're playing in midfield today, Ledson and Kasumu, are massively creative players. I think with Xavi Simons, you get that eye of a needle pass through the back line that you often see, and out wide to your wide players like Cozy Doobie. It has been Thierry Gale. So, yeah, I think. For that, I think it can only be Xavi Simons. I can't think of any other midfielders that would even get anywhere near the Huddersfield team at this point. So,
yeah, that's fair enough. I think I'll go for Joe Lowe. Big fan of him at Wickham, and he started his Huddersfield career pretty well. I mean, he's just a big commanding centre half, isn't he? And we kind of lacking that at the minute. I mean, Johnson didn't cover himself in glory last week at all. Let's hope he can make amends for that. I mean, a bit surprised about that. We didn't touch on that with the team. A bit surprised that it's Farino that's come out for Johnson. I wonder if there's something in that. For Toll, sorry. But yeah, I would love a big commanding centre half next to Farino. I think at the minute is our best centre half. Yeah, and I think, I mean, we've got abundance of strikers at the minute, but I don't think I'd pick any of them ahead of Burstow at the moment, which might be crazy, but he's the top scorer. So what? Cal, have you got anyone you want to steal? Or
Well, yeah, I mean, let's not mention that on this channel, but we are awful, aren't we? But if we're talking about Bolton, just to get it away from that, because I don't need to invite any stick on, do I? If you're sticking with this 4-4-2, then maybe another striker wouldn't be the worst idea in the world.
yeah,
And who better than Alfie May or Joe Taylor? You know what I mean? They're both unreal. But yeah, even another midfielder, Harvey Kane wouldn't be the worst shout in the world. But let's not be greedy. Hey, I think your shout of a new commanding centre half is probably the one to go for, to be fair.
What about
Yeah.
Sean Rowan, Ben? You went after him in the summer.
yeah, he's on the bench, isn't he? Obviously, don't
He
rate
is
him.
he is on the bench,
Yeah.
which I find hilarious.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? I know. Anyway, there we have it, the 31-minute mark, and I'm sure everyone's excited for the game in just under an hour now. So we'll let you get into your pre-match rituals and all that good stuff. Obviously, massive thank you to the Statman. I hope everyone thinks he did well on his debut. I'm pretty impressed by him. I don't know about everyone else. And a massive thank you to Jake for stepping in as he always does wonderfully. So yeah, thanks for watching. Come on, you guys.